Every sacred text has a story, not just in what it tells, but in how it came to be. The Hebrew Bible, or Tanakh, was not written in one time or by one hand. It evolved, through centuries of faith, exile, and rebuilding. In this journey, we'll trace how the Hebrew Scriptures took shape, from their earliest oral traditions to their final form as the Bible we know today. Our story begins more than 3,000 years ago, in the age of tribal Israel, a time before kings, when stories were sung, not written. Shepherds, poets, and elders passed down the tales of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, the Exodus from Egypt, and the songs of victory that celebrated their God. Between 1200 and 900 BCE, some of these oral traditions began to be written. The earliest parts of the Torah, especially in Genesis and Exodus, may trace back to this time. Early psalms and poetic fragments also appeared, small seeds that would grow into the vast text of Scripture. As Israel became a kingdom under Saul, David, and Solomon, writing became part of royal and religious life. The courts employed scribes, men who recorded history, laws, and the words of the prophets. During this monarchy period, major sections of the Deuteronomistic history, books like Joshua, Judges, Samuel, and Kings, began taking shape. These works chronicled the triumphs and failures of Israel's rulers, often through a moral lens. At the same time, prophetic voices rose, Amos, Hosea, Micah, and Isaiah. They denounced corruption, injustice, and idolatry, writing down or inspiring collections that would form the heart of prophetic literature. In 586 BCE, everything changed. Babylon conquered Jerusalem, destroyed the temple, and carried its leaders into exile. For Israel, it was a crisis of identity, and a turning point in biblical history. Scribes and priests in exile began collecting and editing Israel's sacred writings, determined to preserve their history and law. It was during this period that the Torah, or Pentateuch, reached its near-final form. The historical books, Joshua through Kings, were refined to tell a story of covenant, sin, and exile. Prophets like Ezekiel and the mysterious second Isaiah offered visions of renewal, shaping the theology of hope and restoration. Then came return. In 539 BCE, the Persian Empire conquered Babylon, and King Cyrus allowed the exiles to go home. Jerusalem was rebuilt, and so was its literature. New books chronicled this restoration, Ezra, Nehemiah, and Chronicles retold the nation's story from a priestly viewpoint, emphasizing worship, genealogy, and law. The prophets Haggai, Zechariah, and Malachi encouraged the people to complete the temple and renew their faith. By the end of this era, much of Israel's sacred history had been written, edited, and organized into the shape we still recognize today. As Greek culture spread across the ancient Near East, the Jewish world faced new challenges. Yet this period produced the final layers of the Hebrew Bible. The Book of Daniel, written during the Maccabean Revolt around 168 to 164 BCE, reflects this struggle, a coded vision of resistance against foreign oppression. Other works like Ecclesiastes show philosophical reflection, influenced by the wisdom traditions of the wider world. These final writings mark the close of Hebrew Scripture's composition, the last chapters in a literary journey spanning nearly 1,000 years. By the 2nd century BCE, most of the Hebrew Bible was complete. But the process of selecting, or canonizing, which books belonged continued for centuries. By the 1st century CE, Jewish tradition had settled on the 24 books we know today as the Tanakh, the Torah, prophets, and writings. It was a literary and spiritual legacy shaped by exile, empire, and enduring faith. So when we read the Hebrew Bible, we're not reading one author, but many generations of voices. From songs sung in the desert, to prophecies written in exile, to wisdom born under Greek rule, it's a library of faith that tells the story of a people and their God.